You know she's getting filled by some black stud. You know there's some black fucking bull that's just filling her with cock meat, giving her the real fuck she deserves. Some big black bull just filling her with cock meat.
All right, how we all doing? How are we all doing tonight? So, we got no Luke tonight. We got no Windows capture either, because I haven't figured that out yet. It just stopped working on me, and I haven't figured out how to do it, how to fix it. Now, in all fairness, I didn't put a ton of time into figuring out how to fix it. I didn't feel good this week. I had a rough cold. Plus, I was working the old day job. So, I'd made a little progress. I figured out, try this thing. And I tried and it doesn't work. But then it's like another thing I can try, but I'm all pissed off. I don't feel like it. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a laid-back show tonight. We're going to talk about some topics, and then we're going to open things up to callers on the Skype stare, as Cantwell used to say back when Cantwell was worth watching. I don't know. Maybe he's still doing this stuff. I don't know. I lost track of Cantwell. I can't. Somebody says just Google the fix. Yes, that's what I was doing. And there were several options, and I was trying several of them. I'd try one, and I'd get pissed off, because it does piss me off. There's no reason it should just not work. Nothing works. Look, I'm no programmer. Alright? Not by a long shot. I barely know how to fucking use computers. But, you read something like the original Super Mario Brothers game took less memory than a JPEG of a screenshot of it. Like, what are we... Were they just must have been masters at using memory efficiently back then, I guess, because they had to be. And nowadays we got all this, I guess, junk code and shit like this. I don't know. Nothing works right. I get shit. There's no reason I didn't do anything to this. I didn't change anything, and screen share just stops working. It's frustrating. We got no Luke tonight. He's doing some stuff. He's off crushing puss, I believe, because he's a hardcore Theta male. That's the new category I made up just now, Theta males. I'm not going to explain it. I'm not going to explain what a Theta male is, because part of being a Theta male is that you don't explain being a Theta male. But perhaps I've already said too much. That's in response. I was busting on Davis earlier this week a little bit, and it wasn't even like laughing. He's going on about how he's a Sigma male and he's beset by all these gammas, and it's just like, dude, just stop LARPing. Stop coming up with categories for yourself that are all about how you're supposed to. You should basically, to use your alpha, beta, gamma shit, you're the secret king. You're going on about how you should be in charge, but no one recognizes your genius. And just on cue, that's the Davis Arini meme somebody made on the Discord. That's hilarious. By the way, speaking of Power Rangers, the TMNT Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book crossovers going on right now. It's fucking fantastic. I was much more of a fan of of the Ninja Turtles than I was Power Rangers, but it's fantastic. So much so that I'm enjoying it so much so I'm going to pick up the trade even after I'm done reading the miniseries, just because I want to reread it. So he says, wasn't Sigma a Mega Man thing? Yes, Sigma was the main villain in Mega Man X. And he was also bald, so I don't know. Maybe there's a connection. But no, that's something that, and I was kind of thinking about it a little too because of the Nick Fuente stuff, where it comes out he's a closet homosexual. He's banging this cat boy on his supporters, super chats. So he's flying out this cat boy to bang. Allegedly, he is. Let's be real. But yeah, we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure OJ killed his wife. He was acquitted in a court of law, allegedly. Whatever. But I was thinking about all this stuff about, like, people just LARPing. People just... I don't know another word for it, Like, guys, I'm fucked up. All right? I'm a fuck up. I've made all kinds of mistakes. I'm a big old pervert. All right? And I hope I've never given you the impression otherwise, that I'm holier than thou. I am most of the time my own worst enemy, and I'm a fat fuck too, which I am sincerely working on. Already lost no small amount of weight here in the last couple weeks. About 8 pounds now gone, 8 or 9. When you're as fat as me, you take a big old shit, you can change the scale a little bit. Actually, I'm not like boogie fat or anything, but yeah, I went from 230 at the beginning of the year to I'm almost at 220. So yeah. Anyways, we got some news to talk about. Yeah, but I want to talk about like LARPers and shit like that. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about some news. Let's talk about some fucking news. Biggest stories I kind of want to cover. A couple of political stories had me somewhat interested. Both on the Democrat side. Number one, I kept wondering who's gonna end up being their presidential nominee. None of them can really win. Bernie could arguably win against Trump. I don't think so, but I could definitely see it happening. Tulsi could probably give Trump a run for his money, but she'll never get the nomination. They're probably going to pick somebody like Biden or Warren or something like that. None of them are going to win. But I was kind of thinking, like, all those quote-unquote frontrunners are really pathetic. Like, they're barely holding it together. You know what I mean? Like, Biden's going on about hairy legs and kids sitting on his laps, and there's only so much interference the media can do. So, are some of these guys going to collapse in the, they're just not going to make it? Is it going to be a brokered convention? And then I thought of an interesting dark horse. I noticed if you're a boomer like me, doesn't have, a tech boomer like me doesn't have ad block. You may notice Mike Bloomberg is running shitloads of ads that he's running for president. But you would think, well, he hasn't been in any of the debates. What's going on here? Is he just not pulling? No, apparently to be in the debates, you have to reach a certain threshold of funding. You have to reach a certain threshold of not crowdfunding. What's the source I'm looking for? Donations, whatever. And Mike Bloomberg is accepting no donations for anyone. He is paying for the campaign entirely out of his own pocket, which he can do. He's a billionaire. But the interesting thing about that is that the rules mean he can't be in the debates. Now, he's walking around playing the victim on that. I'd love to be in the debates, but I can't just because I chose to, fund my campaign myself. They won't let, it's not fair, all this other stuff. Well, he doesn't want to be in the debates, let's be real. I mean, he'll just, Tulsi is out there murdering political careers for the fun of it. Of course he doesn't want to be in the debates. So that could be an interesting dark horse. We'll see how that goes in the polls. He is certainly, he's certainly advertising the shit out of himself. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. It could be a situation where everyone else just sort of collapses and he's the last remotely viable candidate left standing. A lot of people, and look, I'm talking about a lot of politics on the left right now because that's kind of a bit more interesting to me right now. Obviously, they have the presidential race. There's no primary on the Republican side for obvious reasons. And they're actually, the non-establishment left is out there trying to, primary out old DNC fossils. And I don't see enough of that on the right. You can shit on AOC all you want, but the question is, why don't we have our own AOC? Right after the 2016 election, I sat on this channel and I said that night in the big 8-hour election night special, I said, look, Trump has changed the game here. So the question is, what do you do? He's opened doors. What do you do with this? The right didn't do anything with it. Everyone on the alt-right, and I use that in the broadest sense of the term, let's say non-establishment right, just for clarity's sake, the broad window of it. You know, everyone from libertarians to your trad guys, to your wignats, to your alt-light fucking merchants. All those guys. None of them did anything except, you know, shill bullshit on the internet. They had goon rallies that fucked everything up, you know, to protect Southern participation trophies. They didn't do any of that. Meanwhile, Chunk Yu-Gi-Oh! At the Young Turds, whose IQ is roughly the same as your average room temperature, he knew enough, and he funded a whole scattershot of progressive candidates, some of whom got fucking in there. One of whom, as I'm about to discuss in a little bit, AOC, I would argue, is kind of the leader of the Democrat Party right now. Now, from all evidence, she doesn't really, you know, she went all Ultron and said there's no strings on me, and she doesn't return Chank's calls anymore. But he still got somebody out there who agrees with him politically. Nobody on the dissident right did that. Richard Spencer had money at the time. He could have funded a candidate. Alex Jones could have funded candidates. But they didn't. Because they just... The quality of people on this non-establishment right, and then even the shill right, even the conservatives, it's just, you know, there was many years in my life I called myself neither left nor right, and I'm in recent years very keenly remembering why I did that. Now on to AOC. I say she's the leader for a reason. Nancy Pelosi's the leader. She's the highest elected official in the Democrat Party. That's fucking cute. Let's be real here. Nancy Pelosi didn't want to push this impeachment shit. Nancy Pelosi wanted to keep it forever in fucking hearings where she could drip little bits of sound bites to the media, you know, and never go full hog with it. It was AOC and the constituents she represents, the far left, that pushed Nancy Pelosi to go ahead with this terrible fucking idea. And she did. Again, Nancy Pelosi has a primary challenger from the far left that she's definitely noticed. There is in my mind right now, the most interesting political divide, the most important political divide is not one of left and right. It's one of establishment versus non-establishment. Because the establishment, left or right, is the fucking same. Okay? They're all the fucking same. Doesn't matter who you vote for, you're getting the same shit. You're getting wars for Israel. You know, you're getting increasing debt. All that other shit. You know, the things that they allow themselves to disagree on, it's for show. It's the WWE, okay? It's heels and faces. You know, and they hate each other and they beat the shit out of each other, and then they go, you know, into the locker room and they're buddies and they're chatting and, you know, they hang out afterwards. No better example of that than look at the friendship between the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas. It's all the same. So like I said, I would argue she's the leader of the Democrat Party. And there's another power play she did here recently that caught my attention. She refused to pay her dues to the Democrat National Committee. And everyone's, oh, she can't do that. And she's like, well, I just did. You know, this bitch is walking around big dick energy. She's not paying her dues. Now, what does that mean? Well, better question, why didn't she do that? Okay, well, she says, I'm not going to pay my dues because the Democrat Party has made it very clear that they don't support me, that they'd like to see me gone, and they want to make sure no candidates like me reach office. So she's like, so they can lick my ass, I'm not giving them money. And now the Democrat Party, they're supporting right now a primary challenger to her, some black chick. I don't know anything about her, but it's entirely possible they'll primary her out. They'll manage to do that. I don't think so. I think she's far more popular than people give credit for, especially in her district. But if they don't manage to primary her out, then that's a hell of a power play. And that's frankly a blow to the establishment, albeit the establishment of the Democrat Party, but the establishment nonetheless. Now, you could sit here and say, oh, I hate AOC, and you could show me all the boomer, cringe fucking memes that are just recycled dumb blonde jokes from 20 years ago you want. That's fine. Look, I don't agree with her on tons and tons of shit, like 90%. But the real question you got to ask yourself, why does the right not have its own AOC? We had like the one guy running, what was it, Patrick Little, I believe? Am I getting that name right? Who, spent all his time fucking doxing people instead of running a real campaign. And make no mistake, you can sit here and dismiss her all you want, but again, unless she gets primaried out right now, this election cycle, which I don't believe will happen, but it is a distinct possibility. That woman is very possibly just a couple of election cycles away from the fucking White House. You could scoff at that all you want, but you got to understand something, because I know my audience is mostly right-wing, further right than me. You have a blind spot here. You have a blind spot to this woman, the same way the left had a blind spot to Trump. The same way the left couldn't understand why anyone would support Trump. They thought Trump was a joke, and all their fucking memes about Trump were so cringe. It's like, look, I found this goofy face he made. Fucking orange man wrecked, am I right? Pardon me, still getting over a cold. And it's the same thing. Like, aside from the occasional funny Babylon Bee article, I see very few anti-AOC memes that aren't boomer tier cringe. Again, it's a blind spot. She's far more popular than you give credit for. And she's able to tap into some real veins of political thought and frustrations. For one thing, she's able to tap into the fuck the white male vein on the left, because she's neither of those things, even though she herself likes to fuck white males. But that's a whole different topic. For another thing, obviously, she's able to tap into some real economic concerns. Look, the economy's doing pretty good right now. But at the same time, it's not. Okay? Yeah, the Dow's going up, but wages aren't. In fact, wages have been stagnant for decades. Decades. Now, I don't believe AOC has the correct solution to this problem. But that, along with the absolute shenanigans banks are getting away with, her and Bernie were the only one to propose anti-usury laws. Those are real concerns that a lot of people have. And whether she's proposing solutions that will indeed better it or not, she in her vein of politics remain at this time the only one proposing solutions. If the Republicans allow, quote-unquote, the free market to be defined as banks get to do whatever they want and the rest of us can suck a dick, well, I hate to tell you that's not going to be very popular. So again, you can sit here and you could say, oh, she's a joke. No, she, again, real veins of political thought, or political moods she can tap into. And more to the point, she can tap into the anti-fucking boomer mood. Something fierce. Boomers mock her merely for being a millennial. Oh, she was just a bartender recently. First of all, I like House of Representatives members to be men and women of the people. I would prefer men, but that's a whole different topic. But no, they're like, oh, look at this millennial. Doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, voting for AOC is a big old fuck you to the boomers. Make no mistake about that. And virtually everyone who's younger than the boomers would like to say fuck you to the boomers. So there's that she can tap into. So if you think she's a joke and you dismiss her, you're basically a leftist looking at Trump in 2015. You can't see it. You won't see it. And again, I spent most of my adult life not considering myself either left or right. Very rarely, aside from primaries, have I had candidates I could genuinely support. So I could kind of just watch the horse race aspect of politics and enjoy that. So, sorry to tell you, I can step back a little bit here and see this better than some partisan people can. And I'm telling you right now. And you can sit here and I don't want her to be president. I don't want her to be president. But maybe you should understand this if you intend to stop it. And for now, kind of rooting her on. I don't want her to be president, but I don't want her to get primaried out either. Because that is a massive win for the establishment. And again, to me, establishment versus non-establishment is the biggest political divide in our country. It's the most important. It's the most interesting one. So, that's about all I got on that one. Somebody said, did I talk about the Morbius trailer yet? I don't really have anything to say about the Morbius trailer. I mean, I don't know how much I'm keen on this idea of Spider-Man villains existing in a Spider-Man free world in their own fucking movies. I don't know about that. It's at least more workable with Morbius because Spider-Man isn't tied to his origin. I'll say I'm kissing up to AOC. I don't know what to tell you guys. You don't want to see it, you don't want to see it. You don't want to hear it, you don't want to hear it. That's fine. Alright? But, it's you can close your eyes and you can stick your fingers in your, you can say la 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 all you want. The reality of the situation is still there. So, let's, so since I'd like to kiss up to AOC. Well, she's a good looking woman. So it says, we got a Venom movie. We're getting a Morbius movie with Spider-Man in the universe and Vulture's back. Building up to a Maximum Carnage movie. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I can't. Even I'm burned out on comic book movies at this point, I think. Like, I'm not going to just go see one just because it exists anymore, is where I'm at. And that was me for a while. Make no mistake, in like the 2000s, I was such a comic book nerd, and comic book movies were still so special, I almost felt like I had to support them. You know? Very rarely did I just skip one. Like, I didn't go see a lecture in the theater. You got to have some self-respect about yourself. But I don't know. I mean, the Morbius thing doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look. I'm not like anxious to see it. Like I'd like to see Wonder Woman 2. That looks good. Um, but that's like the only comic book movie coming out I really have a great deal of interest in at this point. And part of it is, I mean, look, even the best ones are they're a pale shadow of the source material. Like the Avengers movies are great, but you know what's better? A lot of the Avengers comics, maybe most of them before 2012, I'd say. Like I could point you to Kurt Busiek, George Perez run on Avengers, started in '98, ran until about '04. That's better than the Avengers movies. And the Avengers movies are fine, they're great. But again, the best of these comic book movies just sort of feels like a pale shadow of the source material. It's funny, my Zoomer fucking maintenance guy at work. I'll talk to him about comic book lore, and because he's seen a bunch of the movies, and he'll go on, and I'll be telling him about comic book lore, and he's like, this sounds way more interesting than most of what's in the movies. And I'm like, yeah, it is. So, a couple other things I wanted to talk about. I mean, I guess we can talk about the Fuente stuff. He's fucking a cat boy or something. I don't. Godwinson has some videos out where he's basically accusing Nick Fuentes of being a fed honeypot. And that may indeed be possible. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But in my opinion, Nick is most likely a guy who is wavering back and forth between homosexual desires and a faith in an ideology that tells him that's wrong. And I can have a lot of sympathy for a guy like that. I certainly do a lot of things I'm not proud of. I mean, I would have a little bit more sympathy for him if he wasn't such a smug cunt. Like, that's the thing. Everybody on the internet has to be, because heaven forbid you just go out there and say, look, guys, yeah, I struggle with these things, all this. But no, you just got to be like, no, it's all a fucking leftist plot to make me look. No, it's not, Nick. No leftist forced you to go on a 10-hour date with a cat boy. All right, it's not a leftist plot. Sorry to tell you. I don't know. Just really burned out with a lot of this fucking the whole online right. It's nothing but just shills and honeypots and closet homosexuals arguing about how alpha they are. And it's just... Somebody says that I've spoken to Forney about Nick Fuentes. I know Forney used to speak highly of Nick Fuentes. I haven't spoken to him, but look, I used to kind of praise Nick Fuentes. I mean, I gave him the faint praise of him being my favorite trad Catholic, because he didn't seem as spurgy as a lot of them. But I never really watched his show a great deal because he always kind of annoyed me. He's just a bit too Zoomer for my taste. Let me put it that way. On the Zoomer Boomer spectrum, I sit at millennial/Gen X, right at that little gray area between those two things. So he's a bit too Zoomer for my taste. But yeah, I don't know. It just... It's a bunch of people that take themselves insanely seriously. That want to portray themselves as just things they're not. I mean, I'll sit here and I'll tell you all right now, I don't have my life nearly as together as I'd like. I'm fat. I'm working on that. I'm a big old dork. I'm not particularly ashamed of that, but it's a reality of the situation. I'm a big old pervert. I've, I'd be fucking, a Cenobite if it weren't for my faith. I don't always, in fact, sometimes rarely, live up to the moral values I hold. That's me. And if I ever gave you the impression otherwise, I'm sorry. Wasn't my intent. But everybody else out there has got to be a fucking, I don't know, they got a LARP. There's no other word for it. And it's all really exhausting. I mean, you know what? I'd rather sit here right now. Like the AOC and the Bloomberg things are legitimately interesting to me because I think AOC, again, Bechtloff, you just want to fuck her. Well, yeah, I wouldn't mind fucking her. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I think she's the most interesting elected official in our country right now. For where she may indeed be going, what she's doing, and frankly, I for no other reason than the pure balance of it, I wish there was an AOC on the right. And you can sit here, you just whatever. But for the most part, though, I don't want to talk about politics that much more anymore. Hell, even the Marvel movie, like people in the chat want to bring up, what'd you think of the Morbius? It looks okay. I could probably go to a good back issue bin and dig you out a dozen comic books featuring Morbius that are far more entertaining than that movie's going to be. But yeah, the movie looks okay. And you know what I like about the movies more than anything else? Because they are just a shadow of the source material, but at least it gives people that aren't into the source material an idea of why these things are cool. At least when they're done well. And I like that. And they can be entertaining movies in themselves. Most of the MCU movies, pretty damn solid. I haven't seen Captain Marvel, and I haven't seen Black Panther. So with the exception of those two, I'd say the worst of them are at least okay. But honestly, you know what I'd rather talk about right now? I'd rather, just about anything else. I'd rather talk to you about the Power Rangers Ninja Turtle comic book crossover that's going on right now. I'd rather talk to you about how going into GameStop earlier today. That's fucking more interesting to me. So he says, let's talk about pro wrestling. We were already talking about politics. But yeah, I went into GameStop earlier today. And GameStop's a shithole. Like, GameStop wants to complain about how, we're not doing so well. And yeah, there's a lot of problems facing retail right now. But GameStop, you're not doing so well because you suck. Okay? Because I can't be in a GameStop for more than 3 seconds without you pestering me about signing up for club cards. For a store I rarely go to. I never buy games there. Your prices on games are balls. You can find decent merchandise at GameStop. If you're a big enough dork and you're into that sort of thing. But like here's a perfect example. A used, I want to emphasize that, used SNES Classic sits behind the glass at the GameStop I was at today for $129.99. And that's before Harrisburg gets its share, before the taxes. Now, I know those things sold out at a lot of places. However, I know of at least a couple of places in this area, in this county, that you could drive to and pick up a new one for the mere $79.99 that they go for. But here GameStop is selling you a used one for $1.30. Now, I did make a purchase at GameStop today. I purchased some Ninja Turtle socks because I'm a big old dork. And they looked really comfortable and they looked cool. And they were on sale. They were on clearance. And earlier this week, I purchased, actually, I guess it was last Sunday, almost a week ago. I purchased a Mario and Peach 2-pack Christmas ornament because all the Christmas stuff was like 75% off or some shit like that. GameStop sucks. Now, I'm very blessed. As far as being a nerd, for living in a shitty rural, at least semi-rural area like I'm in, I'm pretty blessed because I have 3 retro game stores. No, 4. 4. The place in my area, Just Press Play, they have 3 locations in this county. They have 1 location in the next county over. And then there's a place called Complete in Box, which is a retro game store / comic book store. Now, that's at the north end of the county, so I don't go there that often, but it's a nice place to go to. I also have 2 in this county comic book stores, and then 3 if you count a place called Captain Blue Hens, which is this little place run under a church on Saturdays, run in the basement of a church on Saturdays, which, by the way, it's actually closing here recently because, again, fucking boomers. The guy that owns it just won't sell it. He keeps trying to sell just the name and the stock, but not the location. It's an icon in this area for geek. Captain Blue Hens Comics. I have been to dozens upon dozens of comic book stores in 9 different states and never found a better back issue bin than Captain Blue Hens Comics had. But tons of nerd shit in this area is my point. So I don't go to GameStop. You know, some people are stuck with the GameStop. No, I couldn't even deal with that because most of the games I buy are old retro games. You know, occasionally I buy a game for the Switch, but usually if I'm buying a game, it's because I found a decent deal and it's on a Genesis game or a Super Nintendo or NES or Game Boy or what have you. But yeah, GameStop sucks. You want to talk about like why you're dying? Well, that's why. Yeah, there's all sorts of other factors. I get it. The internet's taken, took our jobs, all that other stuff. But you know, especially geeks, maybe it's not as true for gaming geeks, but I know comic book geeks, it's true. Like, people like going to a brick and mortar store because it's cool to go into a comic book store. Especially like one that's been around for a while and you never know what you're going to find in there. Right. You know what? Let's go ahead and take some callers. I'm going to go ahead. Craig Langley is available. We're going to bring him in. And of course, sorry, folks. Once again, I forgot. I don't know why I don't remember to do this, but I forgot that every time Skype is turned off, it fucks my settings all up. So let's go into settings. Speakers. Every single time I turn Skype off, it decides it wants to make my mic the speakers. Uh-oh, it's not picking up.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
I guess no Craig Langley. Alright, let's call him again. Says I just missed you. Hey Craig, how's it going? We can't hear you. Boomer Audio Hour here. No sound coming on your end. That's not me this time either. That's on you. There we go. There's some sound. Just, but no words. Something. Dashing Rogue. So you want to call in Dashing Rogue? By all means. I'll hit you up on Skype. In fact, I can add people. We can do it. We have the technology. So we're adding Dashing Rogue to the call. Riveting radio. I know, folks. Very great. Dashing Rogue unavailable. Fuck my life. There he is. I guess Dashing Rogue's on. And we cannot hear you, Craig. We cannot hear anything. I can hear bits and sounds like bits of sound, but all right, that's riveting radio. So taking a look at the chat here, somebody says, "Who still goes out?" I still go out, man. Who the hell wants to be housebound all the fucking time? That sucks. Hell, I went out today and it was fucking snowing. Little bits of your audio there, Craig, but really can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you are. I mean, you got the Davis Arini audio now, but there you are.
Sorry, I'm on my phone.
Come. Yeah. Yes, I'd like a number one with cheese.
Would you like fries with that?
No, I'm on a diet. Just a burger. No soda.
All right. Oh boy.
Burger's okay. You just can't eat the bun.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually some of the better stuff out there.
But is it an actual burger or is that meatless burger?
No, not that. I mean, if you don't want to eat meat, just get a salad. Why do you have to process the shit out of it to make it look like a burger? Like salads also taste good. Just eat that. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Oh, it's disgusting. My boss at work, she was like, "Craig, you have to try this." She gave me one of those Dunkin' Donuts Beyond Meat sausage sandwiches. It was just mushy, like mushy, old, like you mentioned salad, like mushy, slotted together salad. It was disgusting.
We had veggie burgers back at Burger King when I worked there in like 03, 04. And they just looked like this green patty of like smashed together ground up lettuce or something.
Fucking Soylent Green type of shit.
Oh.
No, but I haven't tried that soy burger. I'm not gonna try it. I personally am avoiding it as much as possible.
No, I'm not gonna eat that. That's fucking disgusting. Are you kidding me? Especially now that I'm trying to like watch what I eat. Like I'm trying to not eat garbage that's tasty. You think I'm gonna eat garbage that tastes like shit?
There you go. I mean, I'm trying to watch my weight as well. A lot of stuff that's going on, honestly. I'll just say it. Has anyone else seen this trend, I should say, of a lot of working class people just starting to rebel against like the establishment in general? Like, I'm starting to see a rise of the nativist right, but mostly from a working class perspective. Has anyone seen that?
Absolutely.
I've noticed that working class people, and I wouldn't even call them right, I'd call them just apolitical people. If you're a far lefter, you probably think they're right. If you're a far righter, you probably think they're left. But they're just generally like, sick. They're just sick of being lectured to. They're sick of all this bullshit. All the ones under 45 are sick of the boomers.
Yeah. I'm starting to see that a lot. I've seen Craig before. I've heard him on here before. He's a pretty good guy from what I could see, and he seems like a working class fella. I've seen a lot of Louis Laveau. I've talked about him before on my podcast. I myself am getting sick and tired of being taxed to death and getting nothing in return. But other than that, besides finances, because I know finances are boring. How are you guys?
I'm doing good. I'm enjoying my last Saturday on before Charlottesville 2 gets us all kicked off the internet Monday.
Oh God, I can't believe you're doing that again. That's so retarded.
No, they're pulling some shit out in Virginia, and I don't know. I'm not sure where that's gonna go, but I know the moment a bunch of fucking right wing East Lebs get involved, it ain't gonna go anywhere good. If it was just a bunch of sheriffs that were deputizing people to oppose the law, then you'd have something. But the moment your Spencers and your Fuenteses and all those other guys go down there to make a buck, then yeah, everything's gonna turn into shit.
Are they actually there? I've been like you. I've been burnt out. I haven't been following. I'm just like disgusted with the online right.
I can't fucking hang with it anymore. And again, I want to emphasize, I'm not even going to sit here and shit on Fuentes for being a big old pervert that likes likes cat boys.
Just be honest about it.
I'm a like, trust me, I'm a big old, like, if I was in the military and the enemy brought in a fucking, hot redhead dominatrix, I'd give her the fucking nuclear launch codes. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I'm not made of stone. Like, I don't have any room to throw stones when it comes to that. But I'm also not gonna sit here and act like I am the moral judge of this fucking country, Mister. Hey, let's ban fucking porn, but not cat boys. Cat boys is cool. Like, I don't want you up on your high horse anymore with this shit. Heaven forbid you just fucking be honest about the fact that you're a sinful person. Maybe that's something a Christian should do. I don't know.
You were talking.
I'm no theologian, but that just sort of seems like something you ought to do. I'm sorry, Dashing Rogue, you were saying?
You were talking about comic book movies, and one of the things that, I do get a lot of morals out of it. One of the morals I found was everyone's trying to be like, some sort of secret spy or some shit like that. They never try to be like Iron Man. The whole, like, the part where he's like, I am Iron Man, the first one, where he just admits that he is who he is, If you're a degenerate, and like I think I told you about it before, you and I are both in the same stance when it comes to pornography. It's not good for you, but at the same time, we can't ban it. We're not going to advocate you look at it, but at the same time, you have to get the lead out sometimes. You get the poison out, as you'd say. As long as you acknowledge it.
Is I don't think there's any argument you can make for it, quote unquote, not being speech that can't very, very quickly get turned on everything.
Yeah.
That's my biggest argument. Yeah, I'm not happy that porn is so prevalent, and I wouldn't mind some more regulation, particularly on the production end, because the nightmare hellscape cesspool that industry is. But no, when you're just sitting there, we're going to ban porn because it's not speech. And then they're going to ban you because you're not speech. Like, all you're doing is normalizing the whole I don't like it, ban it shit.
Yeah, exactly. But what I was trying to get across here is, wear your sins like a badge of honor. Don't be honorable about it. It just be like, hey, I'm Iron Man. Who gives a fuck? I don't care. Yeah, I fuck cat boys. Yeah, whatever. I'm a gay. Whatever. Don't be this high horse. Oh, I'm so much moral and better than you type of crap. No one likes that. Like I've always said, the thing I don't like about Fuentes is his fucking suit. He makes him look like a fucking it makes him look like he doesn't dress his age. That's the big one.
He looks like a little kid wearing his dad's suit. I don't even think it really fits him that well.
Yeah, he does. And he also looks like, I would say, like, he bring your kid to work day, and then you wonder, well, what the fuck does his dad do for work? His dad's probably a used car salesman, especially with his sleazy charisma. If that makes any sense. And I say sleazy, he does come off sleazy. But
he kind of does, but I guess I sort of thought that was an act. And maybe that was really stupid, because I remember a certain bald guy where I used to think that his sleazy shit was an act. So maybe that was stupid of me to fall for that twice, but I thought that was just a character he was playing. I thought he was just being over the top for the sake of being an entertainer.
Most people like that will often tell you exactly what they're all about. You just have to look at it from a one-dimensional lens, usually. Like, Arini, he even says he's a degenerate. He says that. I say I'm a degenerate. I say oftentimes I will hang out and work with degenerates before. I'm not going to say they're good people. I'm just going to say, I understand that no one's perfect, and you have to accept people for where they're at, and then hopefully they'll move on, away from that shit. but you have to still accept them. But
The other thing that gets me, it's like, it's not just that these guys had skeletons in their closet. It's that they're nothing like what they portray. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got Mike Enoch, who's, he's the great warrior for the white race, but it turns out he's a fat guy that's married to a Jew and drinks ranch dressing. You got Nick Fuentes. He's the trad Catholic that's going to do away with all the degeneracy. And on Super Chat dimes, he's flying out of some goofy twink camboy.
It's almost as if absolute power and absolute money corrupts absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why I don't take fucking super chats on my show.
I, on the other hand, do, folks, if you want to send super chats.
Yeah, give him money. Give him as much money.
Because I'm already corrupted as fuck, so you might as well just send me super chats. If you want to fund my debauched lifestyle, my debauched hedonistic lifestyle of reading comic books and playing video games and redhead dominatrixes, by all means, send me a super chat. Hit up that PayPal, Patreon, Amazon wishlist.
Yes. The more money you give, the more likely you'll see the downfall of the great Bulbasaur.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, wait, just wait till my fucking disgusting downfall. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to put everybody else to shame.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much that, honestly. I mean, work for me is doing very well. I'm doing fairly well for myself. I've heard you're doing pretty well for yourself as well.
I'm doing fine. I mean,
Craig,
a lot of people in this economy ain't doing great. I could be doing a lot worse.
I mean, I could do. We could all be doing a lot better, to be honest. But we're better than we were.
I'm the man now. I got promoted to management at work 6 months ago. So.
Yeah, Craig Langley is officially the manager at the Syracuse GameStop. So if you ever stop by, say hi to him.
Oh, no, GameStop actually didn't hire me. When I was looking for a second job, they actually didn't hire me.
Ooh.
I was like, are you fucking serious? They said I didn't have enough sales experience.
Oh, that's horseshit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it takes a certain...
Jesus!
Oh, we got a donation. Thank you, sir. So Conan the Destroyer sends $1 and says, degeneracy fund it. Thank you very much. But yeah, somebody says I'd love to sell out. Yes, indeed. I'd say that's my plan. I'm just going to start selling out as soon as possible.
Did you ever see that Seth MacFarlane speech? He did it at like a college commencement where he's like, yeah, you guys talk now. You guys are so going to sell out. Selling out's great.
Well, there was a bit with Matt Stone and Trey Parker. I think it was like the specials on one of the South Park DVDs, like the special features. But they're all like, oh, you guys... People say to us, oh, you guys just got your cartoon successful and then you started selling out. Well, duh, that was always the plan.
Exactly.
The plan was to come to California and just start selling out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But why wouldn't you sell out? You want to make your time... You want to spend your time doing what you love, which is making movies or cartoons or whatever. You have to sell because you have to bring in the profits to continue doing that, so you don't have to have a fucking day job like I do. I'm writing at night. I was writing before Bechtloff called me, and it's like, this sucks. Why would you not? Fuck this starving artist shit.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I prefer to have a day job. I've oftentimes said saving the West is a side quest, and I mean it.
I wouldn't be opposed to doing this full time if it took off, and I don't believe it will, but if it did. I would, however, be very cautious of some pitfalls. I think for one thing, I would, if this was a full-time job, I'd go the Revenge of the Sith route where it's at a certain time on certain days. You know what I mean? Like, not just streaming wherever I feel like it. Because I feel like you gotta, if nothing else, have that anchor of a schedule. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I actually found when I was unemployed and I was on unemployment for the first time in my life, doing the neat life, I actually found the two things I fucking looked forward to just because they were regularly scheduled was my Saturday show and going to the comic book store on Wednesdays.
Hi, Matt.
Like, and I know that sounds like, and it wasn't just comics. It was like, okay, well, it's Wednesday. There's something to do. You know what I mean?
It's order and structure. You know.
Yeah. As much as I constantly kick against the spurs of order and structure, you miss it when it's gone.
Oh yeah, I was unemployed for 2 years, and I was just a piece of shit just lying around doing nothing. I had no structure whatsoever. Now I'm much better with the day job. True.
We're gonna add Pastor Tom to the call. He said he wanted to call in. Oh shit. Okay.
I never talked to Pastor Tom. Yeah, bring him in. I've never talked to him.
Hello.
Hey, Pastor Tom. Thomas Murphy sends $2.50. He says, "Hi, it's me, Thomas. Fuck you, you piece of shit asshole." Comment down below if that's true. I don't know what you're talking about there, Thomas Murphy. But thank you very much for the super chat. Also,
It's
dude
absolutely
Sam
true.
sends $2 and says, "Here's your sales experience." So thank you very much. Pastor Tom, how's it going? How's it going?
Pretty good. How y'all doing?
I'm doing fine. Doing better than I have any right to be.
So I wanted to comment on the things that you were talking about why people feel like they have to, they can't just come out and say, I struggle with this and that kind of stuff. And I think it really has to do with selling themselves in a sense. Like, have you ever heard the expression, never trust a skinny cook? If somebody wants to talk about morals, then they want to appear moral. They want to appear virtuous. And so they try to hide all this stuff is because they're trying to appear that way. Because, if somebody came out and just said, well, I really struggle with this is bad, you might believe them, but I don't think it comes across. It just, there seems to be it doesn't come across nearly as much as somebody who's like, well, I'm okay with this, blah, 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 and so I'm moral and right, and let me talk about this stuff.
Well, I think that two things with that. Number one, look, I get everybody's got to put their best foot forward. I'm not saying we all need to rip our closet doors off the hinges and lay our skeletons bare. That's a little bit different than presenting yourself as basically the polar opposite of what you are. Also, and this is just a beef I'm going to have with certain sections of right-wing Christianity. I think as Christians, we should be a little bit more about presenting the gospel first as opposed to just moralism.
Well,
I'm all with you there, but
Argument.
I agree to an extent, as long as we acknowledge that there's a standard. I oftentimes tell people the old adage that the boomers say, do as I say, not as I do. That comes into effect as well. But at the same time, you have to have a moral standard no matter what. You have to acknowledge that what you're doing is wrong. I won't lie, I'm a degenerate. I'm one of the people who struggled with a lot of things in my life, but that doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge that there's a struggle and I don't acknowledge that what I do is wrong. Most people are like, well, I'll just get drunk and I'll party all night, and then, I'm late for work, I won't do it again. But then God forgives them, and then they do it again and again and again. That's not acceptable.
Somebody in the chat says, neat life is unbearable. Yes, it is.
It is.
Honestly, I joke about like what I would do if I won the lottery or something, and yeah, I'd travel and have fun for a few months, but then I'd be like, okay, I got to figure out something to do. I'd either make this professional or I'd go buy a comic book store and run it. But it's like, you got to have something to do.
Yeah.
Like, nobody likes toiling, but being without work at all is terrible. It's worse than toil.
We were made to work.
It's a good thing I have so many hot girls at my work. That gets me through the day.
At the Syracuse GameStop, where Craig is manager. I doxed you. Take it.
Uh-oh.
There's no stopping me. I'm doxing you. The Syracuse GameStop. I say Syracuse GameStop, like any city, I'm sure there's like 400 of them. So even if that was true, it wouldn't narrow it down.
I do work in a local mall, and there is a GameStop, so close enough.
We know where Craig's at. We've narrowed it down to 600 possible GameStop locations.
Oh God, GameStop sucks. So you're going on that rant earlier. There's a used video game store opened in my I'm not gonna get the name to dox my location. There's a used video store open in the mall I work at, and it's fantastic. I got a PS2 so I can watch DVDs and all that with it. I got the first 2 Resident Evils for $50, and they work perfectly there. Perfect. The first 2.
You mean number
real
1
quick,
and
super
2?
chat. Great White Rabbit says, Bechtloff, you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not streaming gameplay like Razor Fist.
You really should do some Let's Plays.
I did a Let's Play of Custer's Revenge, one of the greatest games ever made. I don't know if y'all saw that. For the Atari 2600, which I choose to believe is a Red Dead Redemption prequel.
if you want, if you ever decide to do a multiplayer game, I could play. I could put up some money and maybe join you if you want.
A lot of the problem is this crappy laptop. I have a little external hard drive. A listener was kind enough to donate to me that has hundreds upon hundreds of cartridge era games. You know,
Chris, are you afraid that you're going to be the new Dark Side Phil if you stream?
Yeah, I'm going to start being the dark side Phil. I'm not that
Dark
good at
side
video games
Bechtloff.
either, but I don't really care. Like, oh, Bechtloff, you suck at video games. Like, yeah, it's still fun though. Like,
So you're like,
I don't care.
Green side Bulbasaur.
Yeah, I might. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to accidentally masturbate on stream, but that's just because I don't have my camera on. But yes, there's a lot of cartridge era games on here: Genesis, Super Nintendo, NES, all that kind of stuff. It's just the biggest thing is running the games isn't a problem on this laptop. Streamlabs OBS just chews up tremendous amounts of your computer's horsepower. So pretty much running OBS and anything else.
How much RAM do you have?
I don't know. I don't really know. I need a better computer, to be honest. This is an old shitty laptop. It needs a new one.
Give them shekels so Bechtloff can get himself a real PC. A gaming PC so he can start streaming shit. I'll hook you up. I'll help you out. Luke and I will help you out.
I wish I had the tech to stream shit off the Switch, because the amount of time I just like Breath of the Wild, it became my Zen game where it's like I did basically everything I could do in it, you know, except the actual game. Like I did all the side stuff. So now there's times where I just like wander around in that game and dick around. It's almost become like a Grand Theft Auto game where I pop it in when I want to dick around. And that would be fun to stream, just going on about stuff. There's a lot of games I'd like to stream, but again, the PC just doesn't have the laptop or the power for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the biggest hurdle for me for streaming is I'm basically on an older platform. I'm on one of these Sandy Bridge desktops. And the thing about Sandy Bridge is that, you know, even though it's still old, just the modern day features of it don't exist. I'm on Windows 10 now. I upgraded to Windows 10 recently because I had no choice. But yeah, I mean, the struggle's real. I mean, to have a system set up specifically for streaming, which, by the way, I'll just say it right now, a lot of the industry is heading towards streaming as being the norm. A lot of these Zoomers love their stream idols. I think that's where
honestly I'd love to, and I probably will be moving towards that. And not just games, but you know, coming on here and chatting about comic books. I saw Brad Jones did a video format where he binged watched Big Bang Theory, and after each episode he sat down in front of the camera and like talked about that individual episode, and it ended up being 3 hours long because that's like a 10-year-old show. Like that show went on for 10 years. But I thought that would be really... I wouldn't do that for shows that go on 10 seasons. That's a bit much. But that'd be really cool to do a format of that. I'd like to just do more fun... I don't know. Politics is just getting increasingly boring and increasingly frustrating. And I just like to... And the other thing, I don't like it... And we do this on the right almost as much as the left anymore. I don't like it when people just are like offended all the time. Like... This show is just left-wing propaganda. Like there's a certain esoteric Catholic I used to associate with who once was spurging out about how he hated the Castlevania cartoon because it was... No, I was talking about how I liked the Castlevania cartoon, and he popped in the chat and he's like, it's anti-Catholic propaganda, and I was just sort of, you know, busting his balls. I'm like, well, you don't have to sell me on it. I'm already a fan. But like...
Did people actually believe that's serious? Like, did you not understand that people take liberties in fiction? Did you not understand that?
Yeah. You also understand, like, Dracula probably wasn't real and almost certainly didn't have a teleporting castle. All right? That's also made up. I just want to throw that out there. But no, the biggest thing, like, look, and you can't tell me, like, that character in the Castlevania cartoon, the priest that's an absolute dirtbag, who's he's a complete Pharisee. He's just interested in his own power. You can't tell me there aren't people like that in just Christianity as a whole. You can't tell me there aren't people like that in every religion.
especially
Like-
back in the day when the greatest landowner in the world was the Catholic Church. But
Somebody,
neither here nor
Great
there.
White Rabbit sends $1.99 and says, "Do you know how to build a computer?" I most certainly do not. I barely know how to use one. Let's be realistic here.
well, let
Like,
me
let
just
alone
say
do I
this.
am I gonna build one?
Let me just say this: if Millennial Woes could build a computer, then you can build a computer. It's a right of initiation.
It's really easy. There are all kinds of guides online. You can even type in a budget. Like if you said I want to build an $800 gaming laptop, you can find a guide for the different things that you need in installing it.
I don't know. I'm pretty
So-
tech illiterate. I'm pretty sure,
No,
like
no,
at
no.
the end of it, I'll just be looking like a Borg drone, and I'm like, I think I did it wrong.
Oh, hang on. Let me get you something.
Now that would be fun to watching Bechtloff try to put together that.
But now I
computer.
can stream just from my mind.
That's
You just get a camera and it's just recording. Hey, you just put like a mask on or something But just out there and just try to.
Honestly, because I mean, my pictures are out there. Once I lose the weight, I don't think I'm gonna be that shy about being on camera. I don't know. I may or may not. I don't know. I don't feel the need to be on camera just for narcissistic purposes. Like a lot of people, again, certain people I once associated with, they need to be on camera even when they're in the dark for some reason. But no, I wouldn't mind just sitting on camera, like sitting on the couch reviewing something, And again, I started this year at 2:30. I wouldn't mind being at. Let me put it this way: I started this year at 2:30. Let me rephrase that. I intend to be at 180 by the end of the year.
I tend to be at 200. I'm 270 right now.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't feel bad now, Bechtloff. Sorry, thanks. As I'm 258 and I've been for a year.
Well, I mean, I'm 6'4", so I have an excuse for being such a big behemoth.
I'm about 5'10" ish, depending on which convenience store I'm leaving.
I'm 6 even.
Yeah, Craig's a tall motherfucker. Okay, I think Forney wants in. So I think he's messaging me. I don't know. He can call in. I don't care. I have nothing really to talk about. I had like a little rant on Democrat stuff, and then I don't know. I had nothing else to talk about. I was gonna maybe like talk about like I noticed the other day on Vox Day's blog that he had a big old post about you should never watch any Hollywood movies because Hollywood is super liberal. And then like 2 posts down, he's like, let's talk about the NFL, everybody. And it's like, yeah, that's not hypocritical as fuck.
Well, like, in Fox Day's defense, like, as an expat who's lived in Italy for, like, 20, 30 years, like, the NFL is, like, the only thing that connects him to the U.S. So that's probably why he clings on to it. By the way, hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Matt. Long time no see.
Yeah, same here, Craig.
I
Fuck that
remember
Vox station.
first time
just
I
saw-
met Craig. First time I met Craig, him and Forney stopped by. I was in Syracuse for Retro Game Con, which is a really nice con up there. It's literally just called Retro Game Con. And they stopped by the hotel room, and we did like a 3-hour podcast shitting on Lena Dunham. And then, when we wrapped it up, we ended up like bullshitting for another 2 hours.
Yeah,
Could have gone on longer, but I had to get up for the con the next morning. So I'm like, I gotta get to bed, guys.
What is she doing nowadays? She's got like total radio silence. What the fuck happened to her?
People stopped caring about her.
All right.
Yeah, just like the show Watchmen, HBO, 1 season in, 1 season out.
Oh, that looks terrible.
It does.
It's pretty canceled after 1 season.
That's
Now, what shows actually really surprised me? Lost in Space on Netflix. That show's actually really good.
I've heard some good things about that. I'm going to be moving over to just streaming services. I got to break my boomer dad of regular cable. We have DirecTV and all, but my plan is to just move us over to the streaming services. And, I mean, if you get, like, 5 streaming services, what are you looking at? Like, after taxes, $60? You know what I mean?
You can get Hulu's got a deal right now where you can get Hulu, ESPN Plus, and the Disney Plus for $12 a month.
That's pretty good. I don't really have any use for. Well, even ESPN, I wouldn't mind watching hockey games, so I'll take it.
Yeah. The only problem with ESPN is they don't really have much with the ACC tournaments, so I mean it kind of stinks in that sense.
But I was thinking of getting. I got Netflix. I was going to get Disney Plus and Hulu because I want to watch Orville. I was going to get Amazon Prime, if for no other reason than the shipping deals. And I was going to get, what's the other one? I was probably going to get the DC Universe one because the Harley Quinn cartoon does look funny and it's got a bunch of old classic DC stuff on it. But, you get like 5 or 6 of them. You get this huge library of stuff, and it's way cheaper than cable. And there's just nothing on cable anymore. I even remotely watch. Like they moved the Orville to Hulu. I mean, I still like Rick and Morty. I know it's the cringe thing. Rick and Morty fans are cringe. It's still a funny show. It's not as good as it was at season 2. It's still a funny show. But I could just wait for a DVD on that. You know what I mean? Like, it's no big deal.
One streaming service that's really good and it's free is called Tubi TV, Tubi, and it's free. It's got a lot of older movies, and like the thing is like when Netflix drops stuff, it'll sometimes pick them up. Like it even has a section on there called Not on Netflix. It's pretty good. It's got a lot of older cartoons and stuff. Like you can watch the old Sonic. I'm scrolling through right now. You can watch the old Sonic cartoons, old G.I. Joes, Transformers, that kind of stuff. So, but it's got a whole bunch of other different movies on. It's free.
Yeah, I gotta teach my boomer dad how to use it. That's
Tubi
the biggest thing.
TV, Tubi.
Tubi. Okay, thank you, because I got a jailbroken Fire Stick. Everything I got's free.
He said live on the internet.
Oh, I see
Yeah,
that. That's pretty cool.
Fucking FBI's kicking his door in right now.
There's also Toonami Aftermath. For those of you who want to actually watch the older Toonami block, they have the same commercials and same basically shit that's on there. And it's streamed. You don't have control over it. It's like live TV. It's pretty cool.
And Disney Plus is the greatest app ever.
Yeah, I don't like Disney. I don't know why all the millennials love Disney.
You get the old stuff too, because like the old stuff, he just didn't give a fuck. Like it goes from the 1930s all the way on. There's an old Disney cartoon from the 30s. I'm like, they had to censor this. I had to just watch it to make sure they had. There's from the 1930s. There was a cartoon they did called The Three Little Pigs, and at the last little pig's house made of stone, the big bad wolf shows up to the door as a Jewish peddler. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they didn't put that out.
Well, yeah, I don't expect them to put Song of the South out on Disney Plus anytime soon.
There was a Warner Brothers
Dude, they have
cartoon, Looney Tunes, back when they were still black and white, called Boxcar Willie, that was supposed to be a black guy. And as a kid, they were still running it when I was a kid. I thought it was a monkey. Like, because, most of the Looney Tunes characters are animals, so I just figured it was a monkey. It didn't even occur to me that was even supposed to be a person. And I loved Boxcar Willie. I thought they were funny cartoons.
Yes, I got the same thing, Buddy Smith. That's how I can watch Disney Plus. I'm a Verizon member, so I got a year free. So it's awesome.
I
So you
have
got their
AT&T, so
unlimited
I got
plan.
a really good deal on DirecTV. When I still, it's like, I don't watch it. I don't.
DuckTales, everything. I watched it all. I went to Darkwing Duck, DuckTales. It was fantastic.
The new DuckTales is actually pretty good. I haven't caught all of them, but the ones I've seen, it's pretty damn solid.
That's the thing. You watch the original DuckTales. I was telling our mutual friend Auntie Dem this. You watch the original DuckTales. That fucking show is brilliant. I mean, it's so intelligent in terms of history and economics. I'm like, damn, you get a full libertarian education just watching this show.
Life is like a hurricane.
How so? I'm not.
There's
a big fan of
and
DuckTales.
it's not just DuckTales. I actually remember an episode of Aladdin did the same thing. There's an episode of DuckTales where they explain inflation to kids. Because there was some like, super science ray that could, like, you could zap something and you could double it. Like, it would just make that thing double. So, of course, the boys, they steal this out of the lab and they're like, we're going to zap our allowance and have all this extra money. Well, I think it was like every time a bell rings, the sonic effect or something makes it double again. So next thing you know, Duckburg is just swimming in all this phony money. And money is worthless, It's like it costs $1 million to get a loaf of bread now. And I actually remember an episode of Aladdin too, the Aladdin TV series, which was surprisingly really good, where the genie used his magic to make everyone in the city rich, but because everyone was rich, no one was.
Yes. Yep. It's fantastic. I mean, the old Disney, you watch those old cartoons, they're really smart. I mean, even from not even just a political or creative level, on there too is Rescue Rangers, one of my favorites as a kid. And in terms of pure creativity, the Coca-Cola cult episode is one of the most creative things ever put in kids' television, where the Rescue Rangers basically find this cult of rats that worship at this old Coca-Cola factory, and their sermons are based on this old advertisement video, and they baptize themselves in the soda. It's like, this is like a great critique of consumerism. It's just brilliant.
Darkwing Duck
People
was another
might
one
under-
that was just
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah, they all were. The early 90s, late 80s. Gummy Bears,
Goof
Yeah,
Tailspin,
Troop.
yeah.
somebody.
Warner Brothers was doing great stuff too, with like Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and all. I know
Animaniacs
Animaniacs
is
is still on
badass.
Netflix.
That's brilliant.
Freakazoid.
Yes.
And those were some of the first cartoons that actually had a decent budget that weren't designed entirely to sell toys. In fact, there weren't DuckTale toys when I was a kid. Like, I would have wanted them. But, yeah, they did make Darkwing Duck figures, but they weren't like DuckTales ones.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, other cartoons, like, I watched a history of Bucky O'Hare where they talked about how that cartoon got canceled early because the toys just didn't sell as well as they wanted them to, but the cartoon actually had really good ratings, but action cartoons at that time were seen entirely as selling toys. Like, they didn't even care what the ratings were. Like, if your
Same thing
figures
happened to
weren't
Shadow
moving,
Raiders.
what they happened to what?
Shadow Raiders, War Planets. It was a you know the people who did Reboot and Beast Wars.
Yes.
Oh,
They did another series called War Planet Shadow Raiders, and the series was really good because I mean it's by the same people, you know, but the toys weren't selling, so it only got 2 seasons.
They did a reboot of He-Man back in 2003, and they also did a reboot of Thundercats in 2010, I believe it was. And both of
Thundercats,
those,
same reason.
both of those got canceled for the same reason.
The He-Man reboot was real. I never watched the Thundercats one, but I remember watching the He-Man one. That one was really good.
Yeah, because I watched He-Man a lot when I was a little kid, and you know, you had a much I don't want to not serious, I guess, for lack of a better term, take on it. You know, not trying to be realistic, but taking its internal logic seriously, I guess, a good way to put it. And you know, I was out of high school at that point, but I tuned into that and I was like, this is great. But it just the figures didn't sell, so it got canceled.
Well, it came out at a rough time because I mean at that point like Transformers was kind of blowing up and everyone was buying those again because they were kind of having another little
There was a
mini
huge
renaissance.
80s revival at that time because it was right at 03 that the second Ninja Turtles cartoon started, which is extremely underrated. Nobody ever talks about that, but it was a damn good cartoon.
Yeah, there was
Shame
a
about-
big revival in the mid 2000s. I was in college and leaving high school. Remember the VH1? It was like every 2 weeks they played that show. I Love the 80s.
Oh yeah,
Do you remember that?
That was a good show.
I remember
it's like-
in
Yeah.
comics, you know, all the GI Joe and Transformers comics that were throughout the 90s basically worthless. Suddenly were, you know, like their weight in gold in the back issue bin.
Yeah, it's just the entertainment's gone down so badly. Like, I'll give you another example. Bechtloff, you were talking about it earlier. What's funny, trying to depoliticize myself, just disgusted with the whole thing. You know, the cat boy thing's like, oh, that was a great white hope, and now he's a cat boy. Sorry, Matt, I know he's a friend. I was actually watching old pro wrestling. I mean, like late 80s, early 90s, and it's brilliant stuff. Like it does like epic storytelling. Like even
I love
Shakespeare-
the old 80s or 90s stuff where everybody was some ridiculous over the top cartoon character.
Absolutely.
I
was
just
watching
can't get
Rock
into the
Band.
attitude era shit where it's just one roided up asshole in his underwear after another. Like, you know,
I
a
was
few
mullet
of
Superman.
them, a few of them in the attitude era had enough personality as a person that they were able to shine through, but so many of them were just interchangeable without the gimmicks.
Listen, the only three that mattered in the Attitude Era were The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. Everybody else was just a roided out gimmick, like you said.
But they,
Nobody else.
somebody in the chat mentions in the 2000s the He-Man toys were the victim of too many variants of Skeletor and He-Man that they ended up setting up. The funny thing about the history of Bucky O'Hare, and I just watched some videos on it recently, but the toys actually sold pretty good, but the problem was they made the exact same amount of every character. So obviously more kids are going to get the main character, Bucky O'Hare, than the other ones, because maybe they're not that into it, or maybe their parents are poor or cheap and are only going to buy them the one. You know what I mean? So most of the characters ended up sitting on the shelf. And also, the one of the big characters in that was Bucky O'Hare's first mate / girlfriend, Jenny, who they didn't make any figures of in the first wave because they were convinced boys wouldn't want a girl figure. Which I remember being a Ninja Turtles fan at the time, that it took my dad forever to find me an April O'Neil. And I come to find out years later they didn't make as many because they were like, boys aren't going to want April because it's a girl. It's like, yeah, that's not an important character in this show or anything like that. It's
They
not like
wonder when they
every
became a
Ninja
teenager.
Turtle video game was about saving her. Yeah, yeah, they're not gonna want that.
Well, I mean, she's the initiator. Not the initiatory. She's like the starting cause of everything. Something happens to her, she sees something, and then the turtles go investigate or do
Catalyst.
something.
Yeah,
The cattle. There you go. That's the term.
But again, you know, you had the boomers running the toy industry at the time. Like, boys aren't gonna buy the girl doll. Like okay, boomer.
See,
And
now
it's-
they've flipped it to where they've said, well,
Yeah,
we
now
want
we're
the
gonna
girls
make
buying
the
them, but
boys
we're going
buy
to ignore the boys.
Now the boys have to dress as April. We've gone completely
Oh
180.
God.
Yeah, I'm Googling the He-Man. There is a bunch of different He-Mans on here, so I can see what you're talking about, where there's so many, and there's not a whole lot of differences between them.
Oh, the other thing, like Bucky O'Hare was created by Larry Hama, and it was created literally specifically to design toys. He created the character designs to be easily, perfectly replicatable in action figure form. And, you know, Hasbro just was not listening to this man as they were creating this cartoon and toy line. And it's like, just to put in perspective who Larry Hama is the guy that created all the mythology you know about in G.I. Joe. Before he came along, G.I. Joe was just a generic soldier toy. He created Cobra and all the characters, everything anybody gives a shit about G.I. Joe, other than a boomer that remembers the big Barbie-sized dolls. Larry Hama created that, and still Hasbro's like, what do you know?
Excuse me.
Well, shit.
You don't know nothing. You just made us a giant fortune, but you don't know nothing.
You're saying
rebranded.
corporate full of idiots?
Yeah, exactly. Boys aren't going to play the girl figure and make as much of that character that appeared in one episode as Bucky himself.
Jesus. It sucks.
Larry Hama's still salty about that if you ever see him interviewed. He'll go on for like 45 minutes complaining about it.
It's worth complaining about.
By the way, the G.I. Joe movie is awesome. I don't care what the haters say.
Oh, you talk about another case of corporate people not knowing what they were doing. Back in the 70s, when Marvel licensed Spider-Man out to that one Japanese company and they made that Japanese Spider-Man show that was basically Super Sentai with a Spider-Man costume.
Spider-Man.
And Stan Lee's watching these Super Sentai shows from back then, all these you know, spandex superhero Japanese shows, and he's like, you know what? We could bring this over to America. Reshoot the out-of-costume scenes with American actors, redub the action scenes with those same actors. It comes over 30% complete, and it's the expensive 30%. We could make so much money. And he shopped that idea around, and the guys in Japan were all on board with it. Sure, we'll go ahead with that. You know, we've done great business with you with the Spider-Man stuff. He went to everybody in TV. He went to the syndication companies. He went to the major networks. And remember, they were having, like, the one network was having a lot of success with Incredible Hulk, so they should have listened to him. And they were all like, that's stupid. What do you know? Get out of here, nerd. Basically, Stan Lee, 20 years prior, had the idea for Power Rangers. And begged everyone to let him do it.
Yep.
That's stupid. Get out of here, nerd.
Jesus.
Yeah, they don't fucking know. Because
No one does.
yeah, because these people that make entertainment aren't like, yeah, they're all Jewish pieces of shit. Pardon my language. But at least the old studio bosses were people that made movies that grew up, that started in the Nickelodeons for literally a nickel to charge for the peep shows for the working class. They knew what the people wanted. Now we got Harvard MBAs just like look at numbers and statistics deciding what runs on the studio. I don't know shit.
Well, there's, you know, I wouldn't even, like, I don't want to say it's Jewish for a second, but what it really honestly is they're disconnected from the rest of us. They live in their own little gated communities, and they get stuck in an echo chamber. This is something that just happens naturally. The rich and the successful self-segregate.
Well,
And
and
that's
also,
result.
none of these people running these things know any, they have no love for this stuff. They have no love for you know, I mean, that's how you ended up with George Lucas's secretary taking over Star Wars and managing to run it in the dirt. Like, you have no concept of why people were attached to this thing in the first place. And I get that it's a business. You know, Hollywood is a business. They got to make money. I get it. But there has to be some level of balance between, you know, the businessman and the artist have to work together to run that business. And, you know, if you let the artist just go hog wild, he's going to make all sorts of weird esoteric stuff nobody's going to want. But if you let the businessman completely run the show, he's going to make all this really stupid ideas. You know, he's gonna it's just gonna be generic stuff. It's gonna be we're gonna cancel a show because we couldn't sell action figures for it. You know, and don't make any ones of the girl characters kind of dumb ideas. You know.
Yep.
It's got to be a proper push and pull. But another thing that I see though is that for some of the new film people, even for the people who are involved, who are kind of in the creative process, like the difference between so many of these people in the creative process now is beforehand you had people who were living life and then making products or making movies or TV shows based off of the life that they lived. Now we've got people making movies and TV shows based off of the movies and TV shows that they've watched. We're essentially getting copies of copies in a lot of this because they're not out there living the same type of life.
That's an excellent point.
Hence
You know,
why-
as a
what I
comic
just
book
said.
fan, I talk about, you know, I did the big video on One More Day and Spider-Man not being married anymore. But that's because, and it's not just that. You notice this in shows and all that, like, no one knows how to write an actual relationship. They consider once these two people get together, it's the end of the story. Because they don't know. You know, they don't know how to write an adult anymore.
Yeah, and a lot of this is because they live a life that is so divorced from the actual reality that everyone else struggles with. Why do you think people don't like Hollywood? Hollywood is in its own bubble. They think that they don't have any connection to the culture anymore. They don't. They've lost it. They can get it back if they actually struggle through it.
There were people in Hollywood that thought it was a good idea to remake Ghostbusters with 3 lesbians and a gorilla.
There you go. Again, they don't literally. They don't even know the etiquette of the internet, for instance. The notions you don't believe everything here and only half what you see. The notions of don't feed the trolls. That doesn't exist in Hollywood. Look at all the how many fucking people who are celebrities just shut people out and get off the fucking internet. Many of them have. They say, I can't handle it anymore. Can't handle the banter. I'm off. I'm outie. And a lot of it would be mitigated if they actually hired people who would literally pack up everything they have and go to Hollywood to try to be a star. It would, because they literally are coming to them with trying to sell themselves, and they can't sell themselves because they won't be hired. So as a result, it just burns because everything falls apart. They just keep to themselves, They're reaping what they sow. Guys, say something because I'm just rambling at this point.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But you're right. There's no. They don't have any kind of life experience to draw from. They're not educated to draw from. They don't have any of that. They'll just rehash something they saw as a kid.
Well,
Or something that makes it sound, or makes them, or just put out some crap that makes them seem woke.
Right, like the reason why, just as an example, I know everyone sort of beat up on him enough, but the reason why the love scenes in the prequel to Star Wars prequel seem so terrible is because George Lucas really has never had any kind of romantic relationship for the most part. If you look at him, that's not really his thing. The other scenes and stuff work better with his dialogue because he has more experience there. But you take another show that show that replaced Friends, The How I Met Your Mother, that was really popular, but that was also based off of the life experiences of the creators. They based it largely after their own life and then expanded upon that.
Well, Malcolm in the Middle, same thing, right?
Well, there's an old saying that no one should be a writer under the age of 30. What do you have to write about?
Unless you had a really bad childhood, or a war victim or some shit like that.
Yeah,
We've had enough stories about people bitching about their childhoods.
It's like, oh yeah,
Right.
You remember a child called It?
Oh, I remember that book.
No.
That's
No,
the
I
one
don't-
where all
I-
the teenagers get together underneath this.
No. Child Called It was this really popular book in the mid-'90s about this this guy who was abused by his mother from like 8 to like age 10 until his father was able to win custody of it. And it's just so maudlin and overwrought. Like there's the scene where his mother makes him like shit in a bucket. You know, it's just
What?
it's basically porn. It's porn for like middle-aged women.
I don't know what kind of porn you're watching there, but
It's misery porn.
I know. I was
That
just
was the
busting his
phrase I'm
balls.
looking for. Yeah.
I was just busting his balls. like, man, you're into some weirder shit than I am. I thought I was far gone.
Newest Pornhub selection right there.
Right on the front page.
Hey up, hey piggies.
Yeah, send some more money, please.
Some of them shekels, some of them super chats.
Freckles.
Yeah, I have to fly in some cat boys, so I need some more shekels. Plane tickets ain't cheap, especially from Australia. That's close to the edge of the world, according to Owen Benjamin.
Oh, sorry, but in one way, speaking of, did you hear that they might actually get an actual legitimate redhead to play a fictional redheaded character? They're looking.
Tom, if
they're
you're
thinking
just
about
gonna
getting
lie to
Karen
us, there's no
Gillan to
talking
play
to you.
Barbara Gordon.
If you're just gonna lie to us, there's no talking.
No, I mean
That's
they're
not allowed
seriously
anymore. That's-
I mean, for real though, they're thinking about getting Karen Gillan, you know, the girl who plays the blue person in the movie of Avengers movies, to play Barbara Gordon
yeah,
in a
I did
Batgirl.
hear that. That's pretty cool.
I'm like, I didn't know Hollywood thought redheads existed still.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Yeah, I'm getting sick and tired of honestly I don't want to say the blackwashing, but I'm getting sick and tired of this crap from Hollywood where they have to constantly diversify characters that, you know, not even historically. Like, it's one thing if you want to have like a different mudsliding. Yeah, what do we call it?
I'm not opposed to changing the race in an adaptation inherently. Like, there's a few times that it's happened and it didn't bother me, or I even liked it. You know, I don't mind Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White in the Superman movies. I don't mind. I didn't mind Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin in the Daredevil movie.
That was a fantastic performance.
So long as there's not a visual thing about them that they're sort of known for, like
There's
for example,
certain- yeah,
Mary
there's-
Jane being known for being a redhead.
Yeah, there's
to
certain
change
characters
that.
I wouldn't change, and it's there's no exact science to this, but they're so iconic in their look. Like, never mind race. I don't want a blonde or a redhead Superman.
I don't
Like,
want a
that's
blonde
just
James
not how he
Bond.
looks. You know, I don't want just stuff like that. You know, there's certain and there's also an element of keeping true to this.
Jesus?
Oh, thank you very much for the super chat. I'll be right with that. But there's also an element of keeping true to the spirit of the character, if nothing else. Like in the Supergirl show, they made Jimmy Olsen a black guy, right? Okay, fine. They made a redhead a black guy, annoying, but he's not even like a nerd anymore. He's like some cool, suave black guy. It's like you couldn't get some Steve Urkel looking motherfucker to be Jimmy Olsen. Like, have you completely missed the
Why do you
point?
have to call him Jimmy Olsen? Why can't you just create a new character and have him be that new character? That's what's so cheap, is that they're stealing credibility for this new character rather than just, you know, actually doing the hard work of selling this on this brand new character.
Real quick, 1488 Burger Kang, that is a fantastic name, by the way, sends me $5 and says, "We must secure an existence for our burgers and a future for Melted Swiss." Well, thank you very much for that super chat.
And grilled onions.
Which you can
Animal
find in a
style
number of different
fries.
places.
Actually, you guys gave me hungry. I'm kind of hungry. I kind of want to go get some animal style fries now.
I would too. I'm in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yeah, it's like an ice storm out there right now. I ain't going anywhere.
Well, you know, the one thing about California is the weather. So, I mean, it's what I don't know what the weather is, but
Well,
it's
you got
nice.
4 seasons there, if I'm not mistaken. It's fires, earthquakes, mudslides, and riots. Those
Beat
are
me
the
to
4
it.
seasons.
Beat me to it.
You know, you might be right. I kind of want to elaborate on that. Write that down in the chat, and I'll elaborate on it.
I heard that somewhere. I couldn't tell you where, though.
No, but it's true. I mean, they're gonna have a fucking battle of Berkeley again, and I have friends that want to fight in that thing, and I say, dude, there's a reason why I'm not gonna do it. I go to these riots, but I'm not gonna fucking participate. I'm not gonna get in line and then march on the enemy into no man's land or some shit like that. I'd rather do spec ops shit.
See, I just want to be at the outer edges of it, selling baseball bats.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
you can bring your church out there and have them bring first aid kits.
That's where I am now. Baseball bats, $10.
It's funny.
I got them at the Dollar Tree for $3 a piece.
Because there were a bunch of people there, they were like Zen hippie type of people who were literally having picnics right in no man's land, trying to, channel their energy into the fucking crowd and change with their mind and shit like that, like new agey shit. I'm not kidding. And then of course there were some hippies who said we just want to help people. We don't like violence, and they were patching people up regardless of their political affiliations. So there is that. But I only go after high value targets. I'm a hitman, so to speak. So I go after a vet Falarka. I actually encountered her one time. That was fun. And then I encountered certain other people, but go here and there. And I only go after high value targets, HVTs. In any case.
But what purpose does any of this serve? I mean, the right needs to grow up.
It does.
I mean, they LARP as like warriors retaking the streets, like you're the SS fighting the communists in Weimar, Berlin. But in the long run, it didn't accomplish anything. The Battle of Berkeley was a blip, and it really didn't do anything. Let's be honest. Trump and his Twitter and Tucker Carlson in his hour nightly show has done more to advance the right than any of these fucking street fights have done.
Are you saying that Charlottesville didn't go swimmingly for the right? What are you, some sort of optics cuck?
Yes, I am a optics cuck.
Well, here's the biggest problem with
screw your optics. I'm going in. That's what Nick says right before he enters his boyfriend.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Even Pastor Tom's mildly offended. That's fantastic.
Actually, no. There's that thing that he says before every one of his shows or whatever.
What's that? I really don't watch.
It plays the little music and he goes, "Whoa."
Oh. I usually just catch clips of him. I can't sit through a whole Nick Fuente stream.
Never can I.
He's just a touch too zoomer for me.
I'm mostly just getting the clips, but I don't know. Whatever that YouTube channel is, it plays his little intro and then he goes, "Whoa," and then he starts talking about whatever he's talking about.
Oh, wall. It's wall.
Wall?
Yeah, wall.
I guess I just can't hear right.
Nah, but in all honesty, the biggest problem with Charlottesville and Berkeley was there were no fixed objectives. It was very similar to Vietnam.
Well, no, in Charlottesville, we wanted to protect Southern participation trophies.
Whoa, hey, now.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, losers.
Southern participation
statues are for
trophies.
winners.
Oh
That's...
my god.
Shit.
That's the best thing I've heard in a long time.
No, but in all honesty, seriously, it would have been better if Antifa killed us or if we killed Antifa. And I'm not suggesting or advocating violence. I'm simply saying that there was we couldn't even kick them out of town. It's one thing if we all throw them in the dumpster and then carted the dumpster to the city limits and said, "Good luck, guys." But we couldn't do any of that. There was no point.
You hear everybody doing the memes about the Boogaloo in Virginia. And look, there's interest. Like, if it just remains a bunch of sheriffs opposing the law and deputizing people and that sort of thing, then that could go very, very well. But the moment you get a bunch of speds down there, the moment you get some right-wing e-celebs down there, the moment you get Michael Heimbachs down there, things are going to go bad. So my advice to Virginians would be don't accept the help of non-Virginians.
Well, that's another problem.
Don't go. This thing has fucking like disaster written all over it. Richard Spencer's gonna be there.
Oh God.
No,
he said he's going.
Nobody go.
Just everybody leaves the state of Virginia.
If you do go,
in mass as soon as Richard goes there.
For those of you who do go, take the SIM card out of your fucking phone. Take the SIM card. No, seriously, they will fucking bring in like a cellular stingray and they will fucking dox you. Seriously, don't bring a cellular device. Bring a burner if you go, and get one of those drug phones, the type of flip phones.
A beeper?
Yeah, just
go. Instead, that'll be more productive.
Unless here's the question: are you Batman? If you're not Batman, don't go. How about that?
Okay.
Just you're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna do anything, but probably just screw up your own life.
Yeah, just remember, Richard Spencer's the only person too gay for Greg Johnson. All right, so just don't go. I mean, come on.
Well, unless you're gonna take out one of these people. I'm going. If Spenny shows up to
I disavow. Please don't throw me off YouTube.
Where are you taking them out to?
Are you taking them out to TGI Fridays? Is that your plan?
I
Or Ruby Tuesdays?
I will take him to brunch. I have a very nice. There's a very nice place in Berkeley. It's called the Tap House. It's a German tap house. It's right actually next to
Cat
the
boy too.
what?
Maybe Spencer's a cat boy too. You can fly him across the country and go on a date with him.
Me? I got to go on a date with cat boys.
You know, I just mentioned Fridays, and now I want some Jack Daniel's chicken.
Jesus,
oh, that's so good.
You're making me hungry, dude. Seriously, I just went on a walk and I'm freaking hungry.
I'm eating some sausage and cheese.
Oh, you
Get
lucky
some
bastard.
umami burger. They've got to have an
Yeah,
umami
so.
burger in where you are.
Umami burger. Ooh, some-
Umami burger. You never been to Umami Burger, people?
Did Tulsi Gabbard start that up?
Yeah, that's kind of far beyond
Yeah,
what's
it's a Southern California burger chain that specializes in food that are like umami flavored. Umami is the fifth.
Oh, umami!
taste
I
sense.
thought you were saying mommy.
It did sound like you were saying mommy burger.
I'm like, it's mommy flavored, is it? What's going on here?
I could go for a Wahlburger right now.
Oh, that's delicious. That's
Yeah, they're
actually
good.
good.
Fat burger. Fat burger's pretty good.
I had a Wendy's burger for lunch. I don't care.
Ugh.
I like
Yeah.
Wendy's.
Hey, I got a snowstorm. I had to eat something and get in the house.
Oh, there's a fat burger. Okay, that's cool.
That
Is
burger's
this
pretty good too.
FAT or a PHT burger?
FAT.
Okay.
Soul food, soul burgers.
Well, if anyone ever has a discount, you can make it with a fat burger, but with a PH.
Yeah. Well, their headquarters is in Beverly Hills, California, and they are notoriously known for having a certain fast food. Some fast. I'm looking at the. I had them a couple times. They're actually pretty good. Really, really good.
You know what I could go for, and it's not even really bad on my diet as long as I don't get a soda. Is some Moe's Southwest Grill. Oh, they're good.
I like Moe's. They have good. Their quesadilla is good.
Yeah, quesadilla is fantastic.
BJ's Brewery.
You know, their tacos really aren't that bad. If you get their tacos, it's only about, I think, like 150 per taco, depending on what you get on it.
Yeah, and
I
it's
worked
all
out-
made to order too, so it's I mean, whatever you want on it.
I can't stand Chipotle or Qdoba, man.
I
Every
hate
time I eat at one of
Chipotle.
those places, it just says, it's just like, why didn't I just go to Moe's? That's really what I want.
What is Qdoba? I never even heard of that.
It's
Qdoba's like
some
a
other
Midwest
weird
thing.
chant.
California tortilla is pretty good, but the one in my area is gone now, and with Moe's around, I don't really miss it that much. But it was pretty good.
Well, Monday tomorrow. Oh no, Mondays are off. Well, Monday, $5.
Tomorrow's Sunday.
I'm drinking. I'm off. I'm having rum and coke. Yeah, guys, ever have cracking rum? It's actually really good.
I got some Kraken rum recently because there was actually a commercial for it on Cinemassacre's Monster Madness back in October, and they talked me into getting it.
That's
but
exactly why I got it. It's
I
delicious.
haven't, no pun intended, cracked it open yet. I'm really trying not to drink alcohol much now. I'm trying to not drink anything but water right now. I've been sick this week, so I've had a little bit of orange juice. But generally, just because I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to not drink. You know, and alcohol is high in calories. I mean, they call it beer belly for a reason.
Oh, it's orange juice.
Beer's high in calories. If you drink hard liquor, you'll be fine.
The Cynic
Yeah,
and Chief
exactly.
sends $2. Says today's sponsor is Mommy Burger by Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh,
Oh.
did y'all hear about that? Did y'all hear what Gwyneth Paltrow did?
With her goop.
Yeah, so she has this company called Goop. JonTron did a video on it. The Revenge of the Sis guys have made fun of it. It's all this pseudoscience, like shove a geode up your vagina, it'll cure your cancer kind of stuff. And but she has come out with a candle that smells like her vagina.
Oh God. Oh
Which,
Jesus.
I mean, as the Revenge of the Sis guys said, like, why do you want your room to smell like Harvey Weinstein's fingers?
Damn it! Do it again.
But no, like, seriously.
So, like, Gwyneth Paltrow is about on the same level as Belle Delphine at this point.
Pretty much. She's just sort of Bella Delphine past the wall.
Jesus Christ. At least
I
Bella's
love the Revenge of
fucking
the Sith guys.
Andy.
They were like, it makes me so mad that this bitch got to fuck Tony Stark. Even if it was just in a movie, it still makes me... But yeah, that's the
She was-
Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle. I don't know if the free folk were selling that or not.
Oh, Adrian's vagina.
The fucking goat
Isn't
vagina.
that just the dumpster behind Red Lobster?
We need to get voiceover Pete to do a video about the Paltrow candle. That would be funny.
We just need your credit card information to buy more Paltrow candles. It's sold out in an hour, too. Some of y'all thirsty motherfuckers out there. I don't know what's going on.
That bathwater from that gamer girl.
You know, I was watching that voiceover one about the free folk the other day, that he did for the free folk.
Yep.
You just got to sit there and wonder what he's thinking while he's saying that stuff. Like, the free folk are alive, but they are surrounded by Protestants. He's like...
Oh, he said wilder stuff. I'm sure he just zones out when he's reading these lines. I love how he mispronounced Hadron and Jengar. He said Jengar instead of Gengar, and he mispronounced her Hadron Collider. And I'm like, you know what? I'm keeping it in.
Yeah, and Jengar needs your help.
Oh, those were good times. I missed the free folk. I wish they'd come back. The West still needs saving.
You want me to go kick the Hornet's nest sometime? I'll do that if you want.
I think they're gone. They're basically off the internet. Hadron a couple of months ago appeared on some random guy's podcast. Somebody sent that to me, but I think they're basically gone.
Yeah, they were gonna fight Zog, but they're gonna take a fat nerd on the internet.
It's just the laughter is too powerful. You know what that honestly reminds it like, because Hadron claimed to be a witch and all this underdumb stuff, and was defeated by laughter. It reminds me of the end of Willow, where the powerful witch is defeated by a sleight of hand trick.
Oh,
Well, you do know that when you cast a satire on somebody, it can destroy them. You know that, right?
Just look at Snopes and the Babylon Bee.
oh,
Yeah. No, seriously, there's an occult concept out there where you basically make fun of somebody to the point where they can never live past that. You kind of beat them with propaganda, which is...
There's an old... I don't know exactly where it comes from, but it was just a common perception in historical Christianity. It's not necessarily biblical, but a lot of people argued that, demons couldn't stand when you laughed at them. Like, they just
it does say in the
could
Psalms
not.
that, God laughs in the heavens.
They just
his
could
enemies.
not take it, so...
yeah.
Honestly, you gotta be willing to laugh at yourself. That's the biggest thing. Like, you gotta be like, yeah, I get it. Nobody likes to take a joke, or nobody likes to be made fun of or something. But you gotta just learn to laugh at yourself. Again, I'll quote the Revenge of the Sith guy. The one guy on there, Royce. He's the big fat guy on there. He said, somebody made fun of me for being fat on Twitter, so I just took a picture of me drinking ranch dressing because I don't give a fuck. He goes, it's cool. Ranch is keto friendly.
Is it?
I don't know. That's the other thing. Like, when I'm saying, like, oh, I'm trying to lose weight, everybody's got a fucking diet in place for me. It's amazing. Like, well, you know what? Right now, my plan is to just, like, try and burn more calories than I take in. Once I hit a plateau, maybe I'll go to the fancier diets. But for now, it's just shove less down my gullet and do more. It's the plan.
Have you tried
It's working
intermittent
out well
fasting?
so far. Have I tried doing what?
Intermittent fasting. If you tried that, that really works.
That's a good one.
I have not. So far I've tried not drinking gallons and gallons of soda a day, and that's working out well.
Yeah. Reducing your liquid
Well, that
calories
also
will be
helps.
good because you don't register those calories as much as like the food because you're drinking it. So if you could keep your liquid calories low or even at zero, that would really do a
Yeah,
big thing.
they're basically at zero for me. And again, I was drinking just tons of the stuff. Yeah, and you got to think of how much. Like, you get a 20-ounce bottle of soda, that's 250 calories at least. Some of them are a bit more. That's what, an eighth of your recommended calories for the day.
Damn.
Yeah, the average person consumes over 3,000 calories a day. But see, if you're at, like if you want to get to about 200 pounds, you probably don't need to consume more than about 2,000 calories a day.
I'm down to most days about 1,000. Now that's not every day, but that's
You probably do want to increase it a little bit because the thing is that if you eat too few calories, your body will adjust to that, and so you will burn fat much more slowly because your body, it's the survival mechanism, so it'll become more efficient.
That's not every day
Yeah,
though. I guess because
that's
I've heard some
that's why
people
you do
argue.
intermittent fasting. Cause
I've heard people argue you should have quote unquote cheat days just for that exact reason.
Well, like what
Now
Corny's
I'm
saying
so
with
new at
intermittent
it. I'm
fasting.
not trying to be that, but like today I went. Today I actually had Red Robin of all things. I went to Red Robin. I got that enchilada chicken platter or something. It's like 2 chicken breasts with this really cool sauce on it, and then like a thing of salad with it. But yeah, I some days I'm probably at about 2,000 calories. There are some days I'm probably at about 1,000. Just because like I'm just eating salad. And I mean again, I'm not taking like any soda in right now.
Yeah, strength training over cardio. That'll help you burn a lot.
Oh yeah,
too.
I don't.
Push
I don't
ups,
have the time
sit-ups,
for cardio.
weights, that
Cardio,
kind of
you
stuff.
gotta invest like half an hour to an hour into it to get any results. Like no, I just lift weights for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, get more out of it.
Cardio's not as important. Plus, too much
Cardio is important for
you
your
look like a
heart.
fucking marathon.
I mean, if you want to do well with your heart, cardio is good for that because it can give you a stronger heart. But in terms of losing weight, the strength training will be better there.
Well, ideally, you should be doing cardio is for burning fat, but to like gain muscle, to keep off the fat, you're gonna need to do weightlifting. There's a wonderful guy on YouTube named Scooby 1961, I believe. He basically is the like mascot of Fit Slash.
Oh, real quick, before it goes off the street. I
4chan.
missed it. I was gonna read a super chat. It was one of the. Let me bring it up here. Super chats real quick. Sorry to interrupt you there. Cully Guy sends $2. Says retweet if you remember Mr. Bones defeating evil with laughter. And come on, where's the chat? Where's the super chat? Ultra High Testosterone sends $2. Says the Bechtloff is sponsored by Goose. Use promo code Yeast Infection at checkout for 50% off your order.
By Raid Shadow Legends.
You know, I was joking with a buddy the other day. I was like, what if to become profitable, porn decided to start doing live reads, like YouTubers? Like just some chicks like, oh, you're fucking me so deep, but not as deep as the gameplay in Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Uh-oh, we made a mess on these sheets. We better contact the good folks at Bowling Bridge.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I'm just saying, that's a $1 million idea just sitting on the table.
It could be, but what I was gonna say, the whole Scooby 1961, I believe, he has a very good. He's very much praised by the people on 4chan on the Fit board, so take it with a grain of salt. But I oftentimes trust but verify. You have to do cardio to lose fat. To keep the fat off, you have to eat within your limits, but also work out and do weights. I oftentimes do weights at my house because I have some barbells, but I do cardio in the gym. I'll run a mile every day or every other day, and I do bicycling.
Well,
Yeah,
for now
Airplane
it's
X
just
is
as
another
simple.
good person to look at too.
Like I said, for
What's
now
that?
it's just as simple as I've cut out all drinking gallons of sugar water a day, and eating decent food. It's not bad for you. I cut out most of the carbs. I didn't cut out all the carbs because, good God, that's just near fucking impossible to do unless you're really, really strict about shit. But I've cut out most of my carbs, like 90% of my carbs. I cut my calorie count way down. I don't know. And I've done some some weightlifting and all. The exercise thing, that's the kind of thing I find I'm able to do more as I keep doing it. So I'll keep upping the ante on that. But for now, I mean, I'm sure in a couple of months I'll hit a plateau. But for now, I'm just going to stay the course with what I'm doing.
Yeah, like I said,
Until I
another
feel the
video
need
on
to up
YouTube.
it.
is a guy that the YouTube channel is called Athlean X. He has a lot of great videos with working out and a lot of different tips and that kind of stuff. And he answers a lot of the questions too, like why am I not seeing any more muscle growth? Or he has exercises like if you pull a muscle while you're exercising, that kind of stuff. So he's been a really good video there. Now, I mean, he's got a gym and all that stuff that you could get into, but a lot of his just regular YouTube videos have got a lot of solid information too.
Somebody in the chat says, seriously, just take the bus. You burn a lot of... Look, that's not an option for me, all right? Like,
Bechtloff lives in the middle of nowhere.
I live 10 miles from the nearest bus stop, so that's not going to happen.
The husband, Eustace Banks.
Yeah, back when I lived in Waldorf, down in
to
Maryland,
work,
I rode my bike everywhere. That was a lot different. But no, that's not an option. Ian McDonald sends a $4.99 super chat and says, this episode of Blacked is sponsored by Terror House Magazine. That's good to know. Good to know.
They have episodes of Black now?
I guess each individual video counts as an episode. I don't know.
Quick plug. We just released the second edition of the Columbine Pilgrim by Andy Nowicki, available now at Terror House Press. This weekend, get it for 60% off at terrorhousepress.com.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty
One
base.
free copy with every download of Raid Shadow Legends.
Thanks for the idea, Pastor.
Am I
Did you see the... Oh, sorry to interrupt you there, Dasher, but did you see the Internet Historian Raid Shadow Legends plug? I can't remember which video it is, but I watch Internet Historian a lot. It's a great channel. He did a plug at the beginning of a video for Raid Shadow Legends, and he just trolls the fuck out of the live read. Like, he's like, it's an RPG MMO on DVD for people with ADHD made by the IRS. he's just trolled the shit.
Give you HIV.
Yeah, that will give you HIV. He just goes on and trolls the shit out of the live read. I'm like, they're not going to be sponsored another one of your videos anytime soon.
Good. Honestly,
Like
there's a lot
Medicare
of...
once said that if anyone sponsors him, he'll appear on camera in a Ku Klux Klan outfit, pimping their product.
I wouldn't pay to see that. I would definitely support that. No, seriously, like if he does that and he says tell Jim sent you, and then 1,000 more people just show up, say Jim sent us. Wouldn't it be weird if you'll actually backed him on that? Like they actually let him do it more, and it turns out the Klansman is actually selling more than the fucking Internet Historian.
Given that he hates doing ads, that would be his own personal hell. He tries to sabotage it. He turns out really good at it.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
But yeah, this episode of this show is not sponsored by anything. But if you want to support my hedonistic lifestyle of reading comic books and redhead dominatrixes, you can go ahead and hit up you send them super chats like you've been doing, or you can hit up PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wishlist, which I don't think I have all those links below right now. But once we're not live, I'll put them in there.
Yeah, so eventually Terror House Press will be so rich that we'll be sponsoring every show.
Just like it'll be the new Raid Shadow Legends.
You'll definitely be an influence broker, Matt.
This story about Bluetooth enabled butt plugs is very entertaining, and it's a comic book, but not as entertaining as the Columbine Pilgrim by Andy Nowicki.
There you go.
Wow, we got a super chat from Matt Forney here. Matt _or Forney. Jim Goad, why don't we just bury the hatchet once and for all? We cool, bro? Sending $3 there. Well, I'm glad to hear you and Jim are getting along, Matt.
I didn't send that.
I know. That's why I said Matt _Forney. It wasn't you.
Let me take a look at that. Let's see.
I love sending the super chats where you say that the stream is sponsored by, and then it's just some degenerate porn site.
Fuck.
My favorite one was when you had Anglin on your show, and I was like, the Mad Forney show is sponsored by Black. Use promo code Anglin for 14.88% off your subscription.
Guys, I'm going to be heading out.
All right. Thanks for being on, man.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
what were you saying there, Craig?
Adios.
I was gonna say maybe Matt can comment on this because he knows angling better than me. Did you see the article he wrote this week after the whole Catboy thing came out? He's like, "Oh well, American nationalism failed, sown by Fuentes. We gotta go back to Nazism."
Yeah, he was being sarcastic.
Remember
Well,
when I remember when who was it? It was Mike Nisimov had a spurg out about Sonic 3 and Knuckles and killing Julie Borowski's boyfriend. That I remember Weave did an article where and you can't find it anymore because I think his site's gone, where he talked about like, see, this is proof that the NRX is a bunch of spurgs. You should join the white nationalists. We don't have any spurgs. That article didn't age well.
Well, to be fair, Weave has also been criticizing the Spurs as well. So, and Nisimov, man, those were the days.
when were those days? I never followed NRX.
NRX was always kind of gay from the outset, to be frank.
I think they're all kind of gay now.
Yeah, so much of this, man. I just can't hang with any of it anymore. It's just a bunch of larpers. It's just I'm NRX. I'm a level 9 Sigma. It's like, shut up. Just shut up.
I know, and I'm just sick of this branding. It's like, oh, well, we're the dissident right. No, you're the alt right. You're the same people believing the same things. You're just calling yourself something different because that brand is bad.
We're
now.
level 9 Sigmas, Craig. That's what. God, I can't, man.
Speak for yourself, Craig. I'm part of the bleach right.
We're all Theta males here.
Wait, oh my god, I can't keep up with these people anymore. I'm a degenerate right.
Bleach right, because the best way to continue the white race is to marry a non-white woman.
You know, that's kind of funny because there is a mulatto girl at my work that likes me.
Mulatto
Dude,
girls are often pretty
you gotta
damn
be
hot.
the colonizer. You've got the colonizer spirit.
You gotta impress that pussy.
No, it's kind of funny because I guess one of the guys at my work, this black guy that works at my work, he's a fucking troublemaker. I love him though. I guess he went up to her and was like, you know, Craig's gonna ask you out, and she just lit up like, really? I was like, oh shit, what did you fucking get me into now?
Craig, you can enslave her.
I disavow YouTube.
It's a meme. You know the I can save her meme.
I can save her.
Well, I can use a whip in 2 different ways now. Then.
And there goes the last lingering hope of Pastor Tom's radio ministry career.
See, all of you people, you need to go and repent.
Have
You all
heard
need
of
the Lord.
Jesus?
But Bechtloff, I am jealous of you, Pastor Trump. I have to say this. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I turned 36 last month. And Bechtloff, I know you've touched on this, and I've told the younger guys. I'm sorry, dating at this age sucks. Like, I'm so jealous of the guys that are happily married. Like, my cousin married his high school sweetheart, and they're happily married with kids. Like this, Bechtloff, we were really sold. The whole generation was sold a fucking false.
Our
bill of
generation
goods.
was sold this bill of goods about don't marry your high school sweetheart, you'll regret it. By a bunch of boomers who, if you got 2 beers in them, wouldn't shut up about losing their high school sweetheart.
Yep.
We were lied to. I wish I had. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy, but I wish I had met my wife earlier and we had been married longer.
Regret to have.
Do what?
I said that's a regret to have, not 36 and be like, damn, this is fucking sucks dating.
Like, I mean, Nick Fuentes is only like 21 and he met his future boy wife. Like, he's gonna have a trad relationship. God, I can't even do it. I can't even do it.
Reset the vows.
It's based in pink pilled.
Yeah, I can't imagine dating currently. How do you even do it anymore?
That's why I've been single for a while. It's impossible.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, one of my close friends is he's about your age, Craig. He got out of a bad relationship a couple of years ago. He got on OkCupid, and like I'll lie this story. Basically, he saw a woman that we all know, and he saw a bunch of like fat 40-year-old women. That was what OkCupid was matching with, and then he just was like, I'm just deleting the app. Forget it. I'm MGTOW now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll give you an anecdote. That's how badly things are changing. So, back in the day, what was one of the things that was a sign a girl liked you? She gave you your number when you asked for it, right? Because the girls just don't give out their number. So there's this girl at my work. She's just 20, and we were flirting back and forth. We were just playing, and so I asked for her number, and she's like, "You want my number?" I go, "Yeah, I want to hang out with you, whatever." She goes, "Well, most people ask for my Instagram," and then she,
and then you died a little
what?
inside.
And then she goes, and then she gives me her number, and then she didn't want anything. She just gave me her number. For her, the Instagram was a big thing. I'm like, oh my god, I'm only 36, and I'm in a whole fucking different world.
How old is this girl?
20.
I mean, I tend to date younger, but like, and I have to because I'm in the church, because you just have to when you're in the church. You're not finding a single 30-something-year-old woman that's worth it. You're just probably not.
Yeah.
But dating younger comes with its own headaches, because man, oh boy. I was seeing some girl that was about 19, and I was right at 30, and I was seeing her for a little bit, and then she just started ghosting me, and I was like, okay, well, whatever, what can you expect? Shit happens. Well, I ended up talking to her like a couple years later, and she's like, why didn't you chase me? I'm like, sweetie, we were going to the same church. I was 30, you were 19. You think I wasn't already getting enough dirty looks without me being aggressive about it?
Oh, God.
Sorry to
Boy,
tell
she's
you.
living in the wrong decade.
It's like that Louis C.K.
What do you want me to
bit
do?
about
You want me to come up behind you with the chloroform rag? I mean, as
Well,
long
see,
as...
I mean, that's how people get confused, right? Because you've got everybody in the media saying, no means no, this kind of stuff. And then when people do that, like that, well, why didn't you chase me? Well, you were ghosting me. You said no. No means no.
Well, she didn't even... She's constantly like, oh, I can't now, whatever, I can't hang out now. And then, just take it forever to return a message or something. I was like, yeah, I get the hint. But no, apparently I was supposed to chloroform rag her or something. It's like, hey, you could have just told me that's what you like. Well, you could have come up with a safe word and had some fun. But no, you're gonna be that way about it.
It's like the Louis C.K. bit. I wanted you to just go for it.
Yeah, that's illegal. It's like I'll play that game if you want, but you got to tell me. I'm not gonna just assume.
It's a disaster.
Yeah.
I say we just burn the whole thing to the ground and start over.
Y'all have
Joker
fun
style.
with that.
Wow, you're not going to disavow that, Bechtloff? I'm surprised.
No, I disavow everything about tonight, especially the things I said.
Hey, just keep in mind, African and Middle Eastern women are the last frontier of white male sexploitation. So there's your out.
John Steelson.
I don't affirm anything or endorse anything on here.
Oh,
I am
shoot,
simply here to offer light on perspectives.
We have basically used up the Asians, so move on.
John Steelson's $5 says, when I'm having a dry spell, I go to AA meetings and look for the new girls. Remember the one Jan Silent Bob movie where they were trying to pick up women at the abortion clinic? Because why else would they be there if they didn't like to fuck? All right. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I think this stream turned out a lot better than I anticipated, because I did zero prep work. I just none.
Watch Bechtloff's show because he cares.
Because he cares. Yes. But if you do enjoy this absolute train wreck of a program, you can support the show by hitting up PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wish list. All ways to support the show. And that's about all we got for tonight. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.